So, today we are going to take a look at the Vector 1 case. This is the Taobao Aluminium case, ITX sub 15 liter case that I think that it is the best case for me. And it is the most frustrating case to build in.
Nak mampus punya case.
Yes, it was that frustrating. But first, let's watch the montage.
You can kill the lights, you can draw the blinds. My heart shackled down, bound to your bed. Can you stay a while, keep me by your side? Fill my scattered heart, fix me, I said. If you stay, we can sit here underneath the river. If you stay, we could go home. Underneath the river. If you stay, we could sit here underneath the river. If you stay, we could go home.
Okay, now this is where the first major problem starts. In the spec sheet, it mentioned that you can actually fit a 280mm AIO in this case. However, no matter what I did, I was not able to fit it in. When I look at it roughly, I can see that the actual space is there for you to fit the 280mm AIO, but I cannot put it in. Keep in mind that you cannot remove the top panel, so you definitely cannot install the AIO from top to bottom. You have to insert from the sides. So I did the long and arduous process of removing back all the PSU and the motherboard again, and only then I was able to insert the 280mm AIO. Keep in mind that you need to insert the radiator first, and then followed by the radiator fan, and only then you can only fit the motherboard and the power supply unit. Now, keep in mind that this only applies to a 280mm AIO. If you're using a 240mm AIO, then there's no issue. You can just use the usual steps, insert the PSU first, followed by the motherboard, and then followed by the AIO. But because the space tolerances is very tight for the 280mm AIO, you need to insert it first before the PSU or motherboard. Now, another issue that is not related to the case, but a bit of a hardship when you're building a small form factor case like this, is using the Corsair RGB Platinum AIO. It's very difficult because there are plenty of cables coming out from the CPU block. Now, I've seen extra members that says, no, the cable management can be done, etc, etc. And I do agree. I'm sure you can cable manage this if you're really good at it. However, I do feel that this AIO just puts extra steps and extra difficulty in terms of cable managing. I think if you really want an AIO for the small form factor build, just get one without RGB. Or if you want one with RGB, just get one that uses the the usual connector to the PWM for the motherboard, for the fans and pump, and connects to the RGB header to the motherboard. I think that one will make the cable management a lot simpler. Now, on to the second problem of this case. I wanted to fit this, my nice shiny new Gigabyte gaming OC 3080 in this case. This graphic card has a length of around, if I'm not mistaken, 320mm. Now, according to the case spec sheet, it can fit graphic card up to 330mm long. So I thought, so I'm 10mm short, no problem, right? Wrong. I tried, adjusting, squeezing the GPU, all I can to try and fit, but I was not able. Now, this is the reason. The issue is that at the top of the case, around, I would say, 20mm is taken by the front USB 3.0 port. So you can actually fit a 330mm card, but because the Gigabyte is slightly long and also slightly wider, it keeps interfering and hitting the front USB 3.0 port. So instead, to reduce my headache, I just decided to go with a smaller card, which is the Zotac RTX 3080 Trinity. So basically, the caveat of this case is that you can fit a 330mm long GPU. However, you need to remove the front USB port. Now, another thing that is lacking of this case is regarding the acoustics. I think it's because the holes of this case is very big compared to other case which has very tiny holes. So what happens is that the sound of your components inside the case easily transmitted outside and you can hear it quite easily. Now, keep in mind the distance between where I'm sitting to my computer is around 1 meter. Now, this is what I would say the sound of the computer when it's under idle or very light load conditions. So there's not a lot of sound. However, as you can hear right now, once you start gaming or using very heavy intensive GPU workload, the GPU fan ramps up to 80%, and then it makes a very loud racket as you can hear right now. However, keep in mind the Zotac is actually not a very good card because in terms of sound. Now for my ears, what I feel is that I need to keep the GPU fan under 70%. I would consider that 70% and above with this GPU and this case is quite unacceptable. I've used this GPU inside the TechWare Fusion, and I noticed that that one was considerably quieter. So I think this case, because of the large holes, you can hear the sound very easily. Alright, now let's switch gears and talk about the positives of this case. Now, the reason why I went with this case instead of something like an NR200 or Hybrid Vault 3 is because it has very good thermal characteristics. Right now, I'm stressing both the GPU and CPU. I'm stressing them both. Both is running at most 90% and above stress load. As you can see, the GPU temperature is only 73, which is very good, especially considering this is not a very good 3080. This is just the Zotac 3080 Trinity, which is a lower end model. However, the CPU is struggling a bit at around 82-84 degrees Celsius. However, this is still acceptable. You must consider that right now, the CPU is actually exhausting hot air from the GPU and the PSU and the other components of the case and whatnot. Now, I can tell you right now, short of going for something like an open air ITX case like an Exploto or something like that, this will be the best thermally performing case, sub 30 liter case in the market right now. Now, another reason why I like this case is because it uses aluminium, and it's a very good quality aluminium case. As you can see from the side panel, the thickness of the side panel is very thick. It's around 2 mm thickness of the side panel. I think 2 or 3 millimeter in thickness. It's very thick, it's very solid. So it has a very solid feel to it. The body of the case itself is not as thick as the side panel. I think it's around 1.5mm or 2mm thickness, but it is still much better compared to the generic SPCC steel cases that is on the market right now. So if you're looking for something like a Ghost S1 or whatnot, I don't think it's up there in terms of build quality. It is better compared to other cases in the market, generic cases in the market right now, but it's not like CNC aluminium. It's not that level yet. But keep in mind, if you want to buy this case, make sure you buy the model with the side panel aluminium case, which is going to cost extra. The one that I have is actually only single side has the aluminium panel, so that cost me 499 yuan, which is around I think 300 ringgit Malaysia. I hate that this case actually comes in stock configuration with two acrylic panels. Because acrylic panel is a very fragile material, scratches easily and whatnot. So if you want to get this case, get at least with the option with at least one side panel is aluminium, or even better, get both of the side panel aluminium and ditch the acrylic side panel.
So, conclusion time. What do I think about the case? Is it worth it? I do feel that in terms of value for money, is not the best. I mean, it at around 400 ringgit Malaysia, I would say that it should be a bit more cheaper lah. But it's not such a bad case, and I cannot be picky because sub 13 liter case with good ventilation that can fit 280mm AIO, can fit hard drive, 3.5 inch hard drive. There's not a lot in the market, to be honest. And I do feel that the case uses its space and compatibility very efficiently. The case is also not very big. It's definitely smaller than something like an NR200 or Hybrid Vault 3. So it is what I consider to be a true ITX case. But whether or not it's a slam dunk, thumbs up, buy this case right now, I would say that in terms of it's a bit complicated to buy. The availability is not very good. You need to ship from China and everything. So I won't say it's a slam dunk buy. But if you are looking for the similar criteria of what I want in an ITX case, this might be a very good option for you. If you're not really fussy about like sub 30 liter, you're not really fussy about aluminium panels, then the NR200 is still a better bet. Before I forget, Do consider to support my channel and leave a like and subscribe. Do help a fellow Southeast Asian YouTuber out. Like I said, see you guys next time. Oh, and any questions, do leave it down in the comment section down below. Otherwise, see you guys next time. Ciao.